They came early. 3 roaring bulldozers, engines growling like a warning. My driveway, blocked without notice. I stood there stunned until a quiet smile crept in. Because while they thought they had power, they forgot one critical detail. I own it all. I never wanted trouble. I kept to myself, took pride in my land, and respected the rules, even when they were ridiculous. I figured if I stayed quiet, the HOA would leave me be. But that illusion shattered the day I got a letter claiming my own driveway was in violation. No warning, no discussion, just a threat. What they didn't realize is while they were busy measuring fence posts and counting cars, I was making moves, quietly acquiring parcel after parcel. Not out of spite, but preparation, because I knew one day they'd push too far. And when the president, Karen, discovered how much land I truly owned, she didn't back down. No, she escalated, and that's when things got dark. At first, it felt like a misunderstanding. A letter from the HOA citing unauthorized gravel on the edge of my driveway. Nothing major. I brushed it off, figured maybe someone was bored and decided to flex their clipboard power. I even fixed it, shoveled the gravel off myself. Thought that would be the end of it, but it wasn't. A week later, another letter arrived. This time, it was a $200 fine. The reason? Too many vehicles in the driveway. I had 2 trucks, both registered, both insured, both parked neatly. But apparently that was cluttering the visual harmony of the neighborhood. Then came the fence. They claimed it was 1 inch too tall. 1 inch. And for that, they fined me $500 and demanded I tear the whole thing down. I double-checked the blueprints, the original approval forms, everything matched. But it didn't matter. They weren't interested in the truth. They were building a case, a slow, quiet siege. I noticed strange things after that. Flashlights flickering outside my barn late at night, footsteps along my property line. Then one night, I heard the soft whine of propellers. I looked up and saw it, a drone hovering, drifting, scanning like a mechanical vulture. It circled my land twice before vanishing behind the HOA clubhouse. They were watching me, and at the center of it all, Karen. Karen was the president of our HOA, the kind who talked about community standards while letting her own house rot behind a crumbling fence. Her lawn hadn't seen a mower in weeks. Her cousin had been living in a rusted RV out front for nearly a year, complete with extension cords dangling from her garage. But somehow I was the problem. Karen had a way of bending rules to her favor. She rewrote sections of the HOA code during closed-door meetings. Suddenly, rules that didn't exist on Monday were enforceable by Thursday, and they always seemed to apply only to me. It was personal now. You could see it in her eyes. She made it a routine. Every Friday morning, just after sunrise, she'd march up my driveway, clipboard in hand, smirk carved into her face like it was permanent. One day, she didn't even knock. Just stood there, tapping her pen on the metal like it was some declaration of war. "You'll need to remove all your vehicles from this driveway within 48 hours, she said flatly, "or we'll escalate enforcement." Her voice was calm, cold, like she thought she'd already won. I looked at her, then down at her clipboard, then back up. I didn't flinch. I didn't argue. I just smiled. "Okay," I said, "let's escalate." And that was the moment everything shifted, because while she thought I was cornered, what she didn't know, what none of them knew, was that I was 10 steps ahead. Every letter, every fine, every photo they took, it all played perfectly into the plan I'd been building for 5 long years. She thought she had power. She thought she could bury me in bureaucracy and fear. But she had no idea what she had just triggered. What they were about to face wasn't just a man defending his land. It was a man who owned it all. And I was done playing by their rules. For years, I kept my head down. Let them think I was just another farmer, just another resident they could push around. I didn't argue. I didn't protest. I just watched and waited. See, while Karen was obsessing over driveway gravel and mailbox paint colors, I was sitting down with landowners, quiet ones, tired ones. Folks who were fed up with the HOA, who just wanted out. I paid cash. I didn't haggle. Sometimes I even overpaid, Because I wasn't buying land, I was buying leverage. It started with a small field behind my barn, then a foreclosed duplex across the road, then another, one after another. And as the board kept targeting me, they never once stopped to ask, who actually owns this neighborhood now? By the time Karen sent in those bulldozers to block my driveway, I owned 72% of the residential property within the HOA. And I wasn't just a landowner anymore. I was their largest stakeholder, their landlord, their technical superior under the same charter they used to torment everyone else. And Karen, she never saw it coming. The day of the emergency HOA meeting was tense. Karen had called it, thinking she'd rally the board to vote on more enforcement measures against me. Her plan: hit me with one final ultimatum: sell or be sued into the ground. I walked in calm, holding a simple folder under my arm. No lawyers, no entourage, just me and the truth. She started with her usual smug monologue. This resident, she said, gesturing in my direction without looking at me, has refused to comply with repeated HOA directives. It's time we take stronger action to maintain the integrity of our community. The board nodded, some half listened. A few others looked uncomfortable. Maybe they knew what was coming. I stepped forward and placed the folder on the table. Before we continue, I said, opening it slowly, there's something you should all see. Inside were copies of every deed, every title, every parcel of land I had acquired, each page notarized, filed, and recorded with the county. One by one, I laid them out like cards in a winning hand. The room fell silent. You've been issuing fines to someone you no longer have the legal authority to penalize him, I said. Why? Because I own the land those bylaws are tied to, including the lot beneath Karen's house. Her eyes darted down, then up. That's not possible, she snapped, voice cracking. You can't. I can, I said. And I did. Your property changed hands 3 months ago through a trust purchase. Look it up. She went pale. Someone on the board, Greg I think, picked up a deed and read it. Then another. Then another. I saw his hands start to shake. Let me clarify, I said, stepping back, voice steady. You're not just harassing a homeowner, you're harassing your landlord. And by the HOA charter's own rules, the majority landowner has full authority to call a board reformation vote. Karen tried to speak again, but it was too late. The room had shifted. The illusion of control shattered in real time. I wasn't just defending my property anymore. I was taking back the entire neighborhood. And no bulldozer in the world could stop that. Karen didn't speak for a full 10 seconds, which for her was a lifetime. Her lips parted, trying to form a sentence, but no words came. The stack of deeds on the table spoke louder than anything she could have said. Her clipboard, once her weapon, sat useless in her lap. The air in the room felt heavy, like everyone suddenly realized they were sitting in a house of cards, and it had just collapsed. Then I laid down the final card. As majority landowner within this HOA, I said, calm and deliberate, I'm filing a motion to dissolve the current board, effective immediately. The silence that followed wasn't just shock, it was fear. Not of me, but of the truth. Because everything they thought they controlled, every fine, every violation, every rule they'd used to bully this community, it was all built on a foundation they didn't even own anymore. And now that foundation belonged to me. Greg, one of the more reasonable board members, cleared his throat. Legally, he can do that. It's in the charter. Karen spun toward him, furious. You can't be serious. He didn't respond, because he knew I was right. One by one, the rest of the board members looked at each other. No one backed her. No one stood up. The vote didn't even need to be official. It was over. I walked out of that meeting without raising my voice, without making a threat. I didn't need to. The law and the land were already mine. But I wasn't done yet. The very next morning, I filed a full audit of every HOA action taken in the past 2 years. Every fine, every suspension, every rule revision. And the results? Predictable. Corruption, favoritism, blatant abuse of power. Karen had rewritten fines to target families she didn't like, approved exceptions for her friends, used HOA funds to renovate her own deck, while ignoring maintenance requests from actual homeowners. I reversed every crooked policy they'd passed. The drone surveillance program? Canceled. The hidden fees on utility easements? Removed. The neighbor who'd been fined for having wind chimes that disrupted the tranquility of the street? Refunded, with an apology note attached. People started smiling again. Kids played in front yards without their parents peeking through the blinds, afraid of citations. The community wasn't just recovering, it was waking up. And Karen, she didn't show her face for a week. When she finally did resurface, it was to a notice taped to her door, a rent adjustment letter. Because you see, while she was busy trying to evict me from my own driveway, I had quietly acquired her mortgage through one of my holding LLCs. Technically, I was her landlord. She packed up within the month. No fanfare, no farewell speech, just silence and a moving truck. The house was sold off within days. The new owners? A retired couple who loved gardening and didn't believe in clipboards. And the HOA? It's still here, but under new management. My management, and under me, it operates a little differently. No drones. Number 14-page lawn policies. Just fairness, common sense, respect. Because I know what it's like to be targeted. I know what it's like to be treated like a problem just for existing. And I made a promise that no one else in this neighborhood would ever feel that again. We don't have many rules anymore. But there's one that's never written down, just understood. Don't bring a bulldozer to a landowner's driveway. You might not like what's buried underneath. I figured it was over. The board was gone, the community was healing, and for the first time in years, things felt peaceful. But peace never lasts long when someone like Karen's involved. Just a few weeks later, I got a knock at the door. A certified letter, heavy, official, cold. Inside, a lawsuit from Karen. Through a lawyer I'd never heard of, full of accusations that made no sense. Fraud, harassment, illegal ownership. It was clear she wasn't done, not by a long shot. And this time she wasn't using HOA rules. She was playing a different game now, a dirtier one. Let's just say the war was over, but the feud, it had only just begun. What's the craziest thing your HOA has ever done? Drop it in the comments. I want to hear it all. And if you think this story was wild, wait till you hear what happened when Karen tried to sue me for owning her house. Like, subscribe, and buckle up, because it's about to get even messier.